Yes guys, and welcome to a bit of a different video. In today's video, boys, we will be addressing Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari, which is a bit mental. And as you can see, I would say a Mercedes fan. I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan, boys. Lewis Hamilton... Jake, it's the video, come on, you've got this. I am a Lewis Hamilton fan. Obviously, he went from McLaren to Mercedes, which at the time was a step down, but then ended up obviously being a massive step up. He won 6 World Championships there, one with McLaren. So I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan. I think, obviously, nowadays, he's a lot more humble. He's one of the most, like, down-to-earth guys, probably one of the most down-to-earth guys on the track. Obviously, he's got millions, so he sort of can be. It's weird how that works. The more money you got, the sort of more relaxed you can be. But anyway, so I just thought, to talk about such a subject, what we'll do, hop into Forza. I do actually have F1, boys, but I think Forza's a game where you can sort of chill out and play it, where F1, you sort of have to take it seriously. So I thought, to pay homage to Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes, we do some races in Mercedes in the background while we talk about the subject that is Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. So I should probably do this in a Ferrari in a weird way, but okay. Can I find one that's like Hamilton based, do you reckon? Like description. If I just put Hamilton, do you reckon someone's done a Hamilton skin? That'd be quite cool. Like the Mercedes badge with the red. That would be cold. Yes! Go on, people! Oh, okay. Some of these are cold. Yes, look, that, boys, that is nice. The 44, the yellow 44 is going to win it. That is nice, boys. Come on. Boys, that is cold. Right, I'm going to customise this car while we chat about some of the reasons he might have moved. Some of the reasons I think he's gone. Obviously, one of the things he said years ago in interviews was he would like to retire driving for Ferrari, boys. Which makes me think his retirement is obviously on the horizon. He's probably got, I think he signed, is it a 2-year contract or maybe a 3-year contract? Which Mercedes didn't want to offer him. They offered him a 2-year with a potential extension, where he wanted a guaranteed 3-year with a potential exit, I believe. Obviously, you can Google this. You can call me a fraud if I am wrong. You know, it's fine. All have your opinions. But yeah, from what I've seen, he wanted a 3-year contract with a exit agreement. So if he wanted to, or if they built a terrible car, he could leave. And Mercedes said no. So he went to Ferrari, who offered him the exact same thing and a hell of a lot more money. And weirdly, he said yes. Also, the fact that he has always wanted to race for Ferrari, which obviously does help, because that means he can, you know, race for Ferrari. And potentially end his career there. Which is what I think he will do, boys. I do think he probably, unless he physically doesn't win another World Championship, I think he will retire at the end of the next season. Not the next season, when his contract runs out. Bang on, S1 900, boys. That car, do you know what? That's a beautiful car. And it is obviously their flagship, like, sports-ish supercar thing. Going back to the question at hand. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. Obviously, that also means Carlos Sainz. A lot of drivers' contracts run out at the end of the 2024 season. I think almost all of them, except McLaren, both of their drivers, Verstappen and Hamilton and George Russell, were the only people that had guaranteed contracts at the end of this season coming. Every single other driver was out, which is a little bit mental. So you knew at some point, silly season where where drivers start shipping all over the place was going to happen soon. No one thought it would be this soon though, boys. No one thought it was going to be anywhere near this soon. Oh, so I can't do any of these. Right, okay, we'll just have to do normal races, fine. Carlos Sainz is without a seat in the 2020... at the start of the 2025 season, which has 2 speculations around it, boys. 2. 1, he's going to be driving... Yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't care about time trials. 1, he's going to drive for Audi when they take over in 2026 with the new engine regs. Or he's going to race for Alfa Romeo, which is now stake because Zhou Guanyu and Bottas' contracts both run out, so the worst of the 2 drivers there will get shipped out somewhere else and he'll go there, because that's like the sister team almost. I don't know how much truth there is into that, boys, but it is interesting to think about. I mean, it's interesting to think that every single driver currently driving, except the ones I spoke about, McLaren, Mercedes and half of Red Bull, none of their drivers are guaranteed to be racing next year, which is, why can I not do PvP? Why can I not do that? I'm not even going to look at the difficulty. I just don't care. We're just going to vibe, because I could lose this race. Obviously, I won't, because I'm in Lewis Hamilton's car. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to kirk. But we'll see. I've got ABS. I don't have traction control, so this could be dicey, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so Carlos Sainz, obviously that's going to be the most awkward car reveal when that happens, because he's literally going to stand there next to Charles Leclerc, who's got a fat contract, and they've been focusing all their efforts in making sure the car is basically, and the team is built around him. And now 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton's going to rock up and go, yeah, the car's now going to be built around me, mate. Hold that, you little dork. So I don't quite know how that dynamic's going to work. Also, does he walk in as the rookie to the team? You know, the number one driver always has the black tops to the cars, I believe it is, or grey. And the rookie, so to speak, or the new driver always has yellow. Obviously, when George Russell joined Mercedes, he took the main car driver because Lewis was like, do you know what, you're probably going to be here longer than me now. And yellow's when I won all my championships, or started to. I'll take the yellow, that's fine, you know. And I think that was one of those awkward roles where it can be really awkward when a new driver comes in and it's like, yeah, you're obviously number 2, which he was, George Russell. But Lewis like stood to the side, let him have it. He sort of probably knew in the back of his mind he was going to be leaving in a couple of seasons anyway. Unless he won a world championship, then he probably would have retired. So he wasn't too fussed about giving up the number 1 role, which obviously, even though he gave up the car that was the number 1 car with the top, everyone knew he was the number 1 driver anyway. And he always got the upgrades. He also did all the testing. Like whenever they were like, which way does this car need to go, Lewis did it. Lewis took one for the team. He was the experimental driver because they knew the car wasn't fast enough anyway. So he happily took on those roles where he was coming 10th and 12th and stuff. And everyone was like, oh, George Russell was so much more consistent. It was like, yeah, because he had a car that didn't have a ridiculous wing or front, rear wing or front wing or extra downforce or different, you know, floor, because Hamilton was doing all the testing. Anyway, we've completely diverged. I'm sorry. So, back to Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton. I'm here for it, boys, to be honest with you. You know, there's still one of those leaks where obviously they had talks last year, or the 2023 season, yeah, so last year, where Leclerc was asked, you know, who would your favourite teammate be? What do you look for in attributes for a teammate? And then he goes, hello, Lewis. So, obviously, talks had happened at that point where they knew come a season, either 2024 or 2025, Lewis was going to trigger a clause in his contract where he could leave, which he had put in there for this exact scenario. If the car maybe wasn't as quick, and he did still want to race for Ferrari at some point in the future, which he obviously triggered. Ferrari were very much aware of it. I think Mercedes were very much aware of it. I don't think anything's been behind any like closed doors. I think it's been very much open with the fact that Lewis was going to leave if the car wasn't there. He's always wanted to race for Ferrari, a bit like Michael Schumacher. End his career there would be a nice note to end his career. Do you know what I mean? Sebastian Vettel said it best. You know, if you're not if you're not a Ferrari fan, you're a Ferrari fan. Like everyone's a Ferrari fan. And to be honest, I actually went against that. I was like, I don't really care about Ferrari. Like I like Charles Leclerc, I like Carlos Sainz, I like the red, but I've always been Hamilton or McLaren because I just love Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo at that time. Like they were both really cool. So always have been a big fan of them. And obviously going back to sort of Renault with Daniel Ricciardo, that was pretty cool as well because it was a bit of a rogue transfer. Yeah, I will now be a Ferrari fan, which is a little bit weird because no offense to George Russell, I'm not a George Russell fan. He hasn't done anything wrong to me, but I don't specifically care about Mercedes enough to be a George Russell fan. So I am now a bit of a Ferrari fan, which is a bit of a weird thing to say. Obviously, I've literally got Mercedes hat, but this was a Malaysian Lewis Hamilton special, just for the record. So it's not because I really love Mercedes, it's because I like Lewis Hamilton, to be fair. And now he's going to Ferrari, boys. You're going to see me in some Ferrari attire. I've already had a look, and some of it's actually quite nice. Obviously, you know, obviously it's going to be quite nice, but Mercedes, I think, are the best for, like, collaborations, like the Hilfiger collaboration's really nice. And just their clothes in general, they just look good, don't they? And also Lewis Hamilton just pulls it off. But anyway, this car's bloody wicked, by the way. I'm battering the computer. I have no idea what I've got it set on, but I am winning. He is also joined, arguably, the third best car, I think, now. So I think first is obviously Red Bull, and Red Bull have already come out and said they're working on not this year's car, next year's car, because this year's car is already done, which is a bit mental. So they're already focusing on the following year's car, which is just so outrageous because they're so ahead of the game at the moment, which is mad. Those new rule changes can't come fast enough, honestly. They are just dominating. A bit like Mercedes have done in the past. Like, it's fine when your team dominates because you're loving it, but when the other teams are dominating, it sucks. So when Hamilton was dominating years after years, but also while being the best driver, just saying, I'm sure everyone else hated it. But now Red Bull are doing it and Verstappen's doing it. But yet again, arguably the best driver. I still think Hamilton's a better driver, but you just can't argue with how consistently good he's been. And yet again, I think that's one of those things where Hamilton's gone, Mercedes are not making the right changes, where Ferrari already had a better car. Like, other than the strategists at Ferrari and the drivers, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, they only had one win between them out of every single race. And ironically, Carlos Sainz got it. I think Lewis Hamilton would bring a lot more wins, a lot more consistency. He's just so good, isn't he? So I think it will be very interesting to see Lewis at Ferrari with arguably a better car. We'll see, when testing comes out, when they go to Bahrain, whose cars are looking good. But obviously this is for next year, but it will still be interesting to see where Ferrari are at now compared to Mercedes in this coming season, so you know what sort of car Hamilton's going to be given next year to show how dominant he really can be when he's put in a capable car. Because it went through a period last year where Mercedes started coming second quite consistently, second and third, and then obviously McLaren just suddenly took over everyone out of nowhere and just overtook and just were consistently ridiculous near the end. Although Aston Martin at the start was so good and then just like didn't upgrade their car for the entire year and then started to go backwards, which was a bit mental. You couldn't predict that they'd be second, like Alonso getting podium and podium and podium, and then literally they couldn't get in top 10 at one point. Like, that is the biggest fall off I think in F1 in one season. Like, that was crazy. But yeah, McLaren I think have the second best car, Ferrari I think have the third, and I think Mercedes have the fourth. Which is crazy because Mercedes finished second in the Constructors' Championship, which shows you just how good Lewis really was last year. Which I think is what's underrated about Lewis. Although he didn't win a single race in the last 2 years, which is a mental thing to say, he's been so ridiculously consistent with seconds and thirds and fourths that it means they still do well. Obviously, I think Russell had a win last year and maybe a couple the year before that, when the car had like 0 side pods. But accidents happen, anything can happen, boys, and unfortunately it just wasn't Lewis's year either of those years, which was a depressing watch. But it will come back, and it will come back stronger, I'm sure. How long is this race? I sort of forgot. Is this like a 20-minute race? Like, Christ. Oh, I'm cooking though, I think. Well, I think I'm doing well. I haven't made any mistakes really. Oh, right, well that timing's absolutely horrendous, but it's fine. Charles Leclerc, I think he will be more than happy to have Lewis, just to learn from, be alongside someone you can because Carlos Sainz and him, I think you could clearly see Sainz had the experience, but Charles Leclerc is just a faster race car driver. Do you know what I mean? He's just a faster driver. So he probably didn't listen to Sainz, when they give the lap times and the routes and the braking points. He probably, obviously, they look at each other's data to see where they can improve. But he knows, deep down, he's a faster driver. So even if Sainz is doing well, he knows he's faster. He just needs to be more consistent. I think that's always been Charles Leclerc's issue. He's a fabulous driver, just not consistent. Where Sainz was still a great driver, obviously, but just not as good, but a lot more consistent, which is sort of what you want in a season, but not in a driver trying to win a world championship. And I think Lewis is just a combination of both. He's a ridiculously the fastest driver. And also very consistent, which is yet again a bit of an issue with George Russell, because I felt like he always had the pressure of Hamilton being a better driver, and he wanted to sort of be like, no, I'm the best driver, but everyone knew he wasn't the best driver, so he had that sort of chip on his shoulder to try and prove he was the best driver, which is why he made that mistake at the second to last corner where he went straight on and stuff like that. I can't remember what track that was in. It was one of the street races where they were battling for second, and Sainz was pulling Lando Norris along, and it was that whole thing that just let Hamilton pass. You can clearly see he's got more pace, and then he ruined it anyway, and it was like, idiot. But I think Hamilton and Leclerc will get on really well. I just think the vibes at Ferrari are going to be good. I hope, this hasn't been confirmed, I don't think, but I hope he brings Bono, boys, because I can't not listen to Hammer Time anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like him going, Hamilton, Lewis, Hammer Time. Do you know what I mean? It just gives you goosebumps. Like, it's just like, go on, go! Oh, like I can't live in a world where that doesn't happen anymore. So if this season is the last time that Bono and Hamilton are going to be working together, and we get to hear Hammer Time, boys, that's goosebump material. That is like nostalgia. Lock it in a bloody Hall of Fame moment because those two have been partners for years, and if he doesn't go to Ferrari, which I'm stopped dead. Block it. Oh no, Jake, don't bottle it right at the end. Come on. Yeah, that will be a very sad moment, boys. But yeah, again, obviously we gotta wait and see what's going to happen. Hopefully he goes with it. Yeah, again, I feel a little bit bad for Mercedes, the fact that he's just going to rob the engineer. Is it an engineer or strategist, or I don't know what technically his title is, but you know, just best mate basically. But yes, boys, I'm very excited for Hamilton to Ferrari. It caught me very off guard, but I'm absolutely here for it. If it means that it's a different atmosphere. I actually love Toto Wolff as well, so it's a little bit sad that those two won't be working together anymore. But I think the vibes will be better. I think there's a thing about Mercedes where there's that respect and honour and sort of professionalism that comes with being a Mercedes race car driver, where McLaren's a bit more, I don't know, relevant. Do you know what I mean? Because they've got Lando Norris and Piastri, it's a bit of a younger company. It gives that sort of younger vibe, so they're appealing to a younger audience. And I think Ferrari is obviously a notorious F1 team. Do you know what I mean? It comes with that personality, that Italian flair. And it really does, though. It really does have that Italian flair. And Red Bull, I don't like Red Bull, but, you know, it is what it is. Actually, the thing is, I don't like Red Bull. I hated Verstappen in that 2021 season. I hated him. But I am coming round to him now, and that he is just very good. He actually is sort of a nice guy, you know. He probably had that sort of persona where he's just a bit of a dick. But I actually think, like, as a person, he's a nice guy who's just doing his job, and he just happens to be ridiculously good at it because he had a bit of a sad childhood where he was forced to race constantly. But it's not sad, you know. It built him up to what he was, but obviously it was very regimented. But you have to be regimented if you want to be a Formula 1 driver. So, you know, it's the peaks and troughs of being a race car driver. You know, you've got to be forced to do laps after laps when everyone's finished to be better than everyone else. It's the whole Kobe Bryant mentality. He woke up 2 hours before everyone else, and he finished training 2 hours after everyone else, because that meant he had 4 hours every single day training more than all his rivals. You know what I mean? That's the mentality you got to have, and you got to respect it. But it's like, you just were such a dick that season. Do you know what I mean? There's just no need to crash into him 24/7 and just be a prick. But you know, we got to take that 8th World Championship and just be on our way, boys, and pretend like it, you know, didn't happen. But I think after finishing that race, I think that's sort of most of what I wanted to talk about. Hamilton to Ferrari, absolutely mental. Sainz and the silly season that's going to ensue the next year, where drivers are going to be going all over the place, mental. The livery reveals like Steak and what's it, Bulls Cash App, whatever the hell it's called. I don't like the names. Like, I miss Renault. I don't like how they can just be bought out and now they're just companies. Like, I guess Red Bull, but you know what I mean? Like Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, they're actual cars, not Steak. It's just like a bit dead, but I don't know. But yes, boys, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a bit different. It's just me been rambling about F1, but I'm happy Hamilton's gone. It's also sad. It's also cool. He's got one last season, like what's it called? Unsung season? But he's got a season with Mercedes, so every single race is going to be built up to the max. I hope Red Bull don't just dominate and make it boring, but if they do, let's watch second place, boys. See who's going to come second. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.